Dhamaka, Dhamaka.
Dhamaka!
My name is Lakhan.
जहाँ खड़े हो जाते हैं लाइन वहीं से शुरू होती है।
तुमने कभी किसी से प्यार किया?
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan podcast. My name is Asim and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Amrita and Sujoy. Amrita and Sujoy.
India is beautiful. Hello, everybody.
Do you now get my fascination with Debu from America? Hi.
Yeah.
I've been talking about this character for at least I don't know how many years.
Yeah. When we did Mary Jung, we thought like we said like this is the mind palace of Asim. I think this is the second, not just mind palace. This is the Haveli, the mind Haveli of Asim. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we will get into this. We are talking about Ram Lakhan this episode, continuing our 80s series. This was actually a pick from our Patreon. So we had 10 movies that we picked with ourselves and then 5 that we had picked by our Patreon. So if you want to guide the directions Khandaan sometimes goes into, join Patreon and then you can be part of all of that. So that was kind of Ram Lakhan. That's why we're doing it. Also, I think it's one of those movies that really symbolizes what the 80s were in like more than a lot of movies. It's really what the 80s were, and it's still one of those movies that is beloved. But for me, this is a movie I have not revisited for a very, very long time. I don't know about you, Amrita.
No, I don't think I've rewatched it since it came out on VHS, like back in the day, and was like playing on the pirate stream of neighborhood,
Cable TV.
Cable TV.
Yes.
I think that was the last time I saw it. But it's fascinating. Like I have a lot of things to say about this film because you can just see just how much it's inspired and changed and influenced the movies that came after it.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot to talk about Ram Lakhan.
What about you, Sujoy? Have you been watching Ram Lakhan, or has it also
No, I
been
haven't. Also, I'm glad that I didn't watch it. I haven't because it's been like I've watched it like fragments of it playing on Zee Cinema on cable TV, or the songs have always been a part of our lives on Chitrahaar, and the whole intro to Dhina Dhin Dha and all of that is such an integral part of any sort of Bollywood compilation, right? So when you talk about 80s Bollywood, Ram Lakhan is by default in the mix. It's a very crucial ingredient. So it's been part of that pop culture sort of growing up for me. It's been part of that, but I haven't like rewatched it in many ages, and it's always been again that because we have spoken mostly like this is the 80s Dhamaka series and we've spoken about 80s movies, so this is the VHS analog catalog for me, and so rewatching it in such pristine print on Amazon Prime was such a delight because you can see the visual like splendor of the vibrant colors of like Ashok Mehta and that whole aesthetic, of Subhash Ghai's movies of the 80s is so like visceral, so vibrant, so vivid.
And the other thing is also interesting about these movies is that, there were the movies itself that was coming on VHS, but with Ram Lakhan, I have a very distinct memory how the songs were part of the Geetmalas. So you had VHS with all of the songs and then all the Ram Lakhan songs within it. Then you would have another VHS with all of kind of the best scenes or the comedy scenes. And those again would have the Ram Lakhan scenes in it, So you were basically getting it for 3 different avenues. Ram Lakhan was getting embedded in your brain.
Like talking of media also, like this was released in the late 80s, right? And this came out 1989, I believe. So this is almost the introduction of the CDs, like the compact disc medium, and like this was I saw somewhere on IMDb, I'm not sure how true it is, but this is one of the first Bollywood soundtracks to be released on a CD. So that's the
Yeah.
new medium to come into play.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to get into the plot of Ram Lakhan. If people don't know, Amrita will read it. But I have also an email from our lovely listener Rupa that I wanted to read, which is a great summary of why she loves Ram Lakhan, and I think it'll cover a lot of the reasons why we love Ram Lakhan.
Mhm.
Quintessential Bollywood masala at its finest, Jackie Shroff at the absolute peak of his handsomeness, and Anil
Yeah.
Kapoor delivering that scruffy charm that only he can pull off. The classic trope of warring brothers is handled with a surprising mix of fun and sensitivity, never preachy, always entertaining. The acting is top notch masala brilliance. Jackie brings gravitas. Dimple is effortlessly beautiful and elegant. Anil's energy infectious. Baby Madhuri is a vision. We need to talk about baby woman Madhuri a little bit. Radiant, expressive, and supremely talented, especially in the heart-tugging Bada Dukh Dina. The song, each one a gem. The villains, over the top. Amrish Puri, we'll get into, and Debu. Such a bad acting with such great results. Even the villains had swagger. Almost every scene is etched in my memory. Thanks for talking about this movie. This is from Rupa, who I think also Rupa is a Patreon. So be like Rupa, be a Patreon. Rupa!
I'm like asli account se aao taran others.
Amrita, can you give us a plot summary of Ram Lakhan for the people that can you try? Can you try? These masala movies, I feel it's very hard.
So the IMDb version is that Ram, an upright police officer, and his brother Lakhan, playboy, vow vengeance when they learn that their father was killed by two wicked tricksters. But that's not what happened, is it?
Absolutely not. IMDb is a bunch of liars.
Yes. This is basically an update on Diwar, right? Like it is a 1980s version of Diwar, which asks the question that, like, what if the younger brother wasn't just um, morally compromised, but also something of an idiot? Like, what would happen then? And this is also like Rakhi in her mysterious Vidwa Ma era. Like, she's embarking.
I call it Vengeance Beva. This is the first of her Vengeance Beva roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
This is like the origin story of Karan Arjun's, like, Durga.
exactly.
And I feel she's quite low key compared to the heights it takes in Karan
Karan Arjun.
Arjun. Like she's kind of subdued. Like 20 years, she's like, no, let's not tell them. Like in Karan Arjun, she's like tell everybody. Like I'm screaming off the mountaintops. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the fun. Excuse me, my throat is being like a little bit. But so there is an old Thakur, and so the movie begins with like let's just start with like like go through the movie, because the movie begins with the weirdest childbirth scene that I have ever seen in my life. Like I don't know what that is. Like Rakhi is on a bed and she looks like she's having like gas problems.
Yeah, I like. I'm the only one on the podcast here who has actually been in a room where actual childbirth was happening. This was a very peaceful, like this is very like, oh, women should have lots of children because it's quite graceful. It's not. It's not.
She's also like covered up to her neck, and there's like an alarming number of people who are not medical professionals. And then there's like a little child who's her elder son, who is, I don't know, either like a clairvoyant or like one of those gande bacche, and he's just like, my brother Lakhan will come today. My brother Lakhan will come today. And I'm like, how do you know? I think this was maybe a movie that was made before India banned like gender viewing. Like, in India, like, you can't check the gender of your baby before the baby is born.
Has that also been banned in India? Like, what? Like, I didn't know. I didn't know.
I think like the film was banned in like the 90s or something, because there was like so much.
Really?
Yeah, because there was like
Well,
a lot of like
infanticide, yeah.
female feticide, and like gender ratios were like really alarmingly being affected everywhere. So they
So you're not
banned.
allowed a 4D scan, anything you don't.
No.
I mean, I think you can go. You still do all the ultrasounds and stuff, but the doctor's not allowed to tell you whether you're
They
having a baby
censor the
boy or a.
part. They censor the part where, like,
No,
you
they
can.
just don't point it out, and like people are too stupid to
Ah.
figure out. Like, like, oh, where is the genitalia of my child?
Oh wow. Okay.
So people don't know. So that's like one of the things that it's punishable. There is like prison offense if you tell your patients what your baby's gonna be. So anyway, so Ram is like super enthused about having a little brother, a little too enthusiastic if you ask me. But anyway, um, so then Lakhan is born, and it's like this big Haveli, and the grandfather is clearly an idiot, and he
Oh my
has
God.
two.
So many bad decisions made by Babaji. Oh my God. He
And
is the most idiot of them all. Like
Yeah.
one wrong decision after another, he never learns. Like Dalit Tahil, matlab, he's like, Baba, you are just literally मुझे मार दो तुम इससे अच्छा.
Dilip Tahil is also an idiot. Like,
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah, yeah.
looking outside the window. मैं अभी मार दूंगा. Like, dude, like, go away at least 100 meters and
Yeah.
then scream your shit. This movie is an indictment for not reading your fucking contracts. Like, like,
Yeah.
read your shit. Like.
and Babaji's two nephews are Amrish Puri and Paresh Rawal, who are supposed to be brothers.
Yeah.
By the way, Amrish Puri's name is Vishambar Nath. And he is the biggest villain of the movie, even though like Sir John is the menacing one with the Motia Bhim and whatever, But Bishambar is the villain of the movie. My grandfather, my Nanaji, my mom's dad, his name was Bishambar. So every time Bishambar kutte kamine comes out, and it happens many, many times. I'm like, Nanaji, I'm really sorry Subhash Ghai did to you.
And also, what an iconic villain. We will get into this. We'll get into Amrish Puri. That's a whole chapter. Sorry, Amrita,
Yeah.
we cut you off. Yes.
Yeah, so and then Dalip Tahil. So basically, Dalip Tahil and his family, which is Rakhi and the two children, they get kicked out of their Pushteni Jaidad because like
Vakil
uh,
Saab did a tricky wasiyat.
yes. So after all of that, and then like they also murder Dalip Tahil because Dalip Tahil finds out that these guys were up to no good, blah blah blah, and how they did it.
And not in a very simple way. They bomb the car and he becomes apahej. Then he recovers from that and finds out that the Vakil had a wrong wasiyat. And then they drag him to the train tracks. Rakhi witnesses him getting killed and blood splatters all across her sari. And she
Yeah.
attends the funeral. Days later, in that same sari, she hasn't showered or anything. And then, like, she eventually showers, and then all the blood gets drained from her body in the most bloodiest way. Like, it's so, like, violently red everywhere. It's Subhash Ghai. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
बड़ी पिक्चर बनाएंगे बड़ी पिक्चर
हाँ, मतलब हर फ्रेम में दिखना चाहिए पैसा किधर फेंका है मतलब खून पसीने की मूवी है.
And then 20 years later, Ram has become a police officer, and I don't know if we can call Lakhan a playboy. Like, I don't think he's
No,
more
he's 1 2 4 2 1.
yeah, he's like
That's the best way
basically
to describe him. Yeah.
unemployed youth is basically what it is.
Yeah.
But
With his garib yars.
his bachpan ka pyar is Rupa, which is like
No, Radha.
Radha, sorry, is Radha, who is Madhuri Dixit when she grows up. And, sorry, go ahead.
I forgot. She's her cousin. They're
No,
cousins.
I don't
They're
think they are related. Like
Yeah.
chacha means like chacha. गांव में सभी
uncle.
चाचा
I
होते हैं ना.
wasn't I got like a bit confused in that one. I thought
No,
it was
no,
like
No.
okay.
But she's nabalik. She's nabalik, which
yeah,
is
like very nabalik also, like 15 or something.
Yeah.
But also, like, they're like, she can't be 15 because, like, they have that childhood moment where they meet each other for the first time, and Lakin, like, sort of like, lures her away from her father, who's
Hmm.
played by Anupam Kher. And that was actually one of the cutest
Yeah.
scenes in the film, because baby Madhuri is like got a little ghungat, and she's like dressed, and like she's like dancing with Lakan, and it's so cute. I mean, I don't even like kids, and I was just like, oh, that's a cute kid. um and then they grow up and they're in love and everything, and then yeah, and then shall we just talk up till there, and then like we can talk about the rest?
I mean, you were saying, no, Paresh Rawal is Amrish Puri's brother in this. I have to say, nobody in this movie feels related to each other.
Yeah.
How is Madhuri Anupam Kher's daughter? The only people that seem related, to be honest, is Debu and the actress playing his mom. Those two look related. Like, this
Yeah.
could be reasonably like,
Mm,
mother and son. Everybody else, there's no way that, these people are
yeah.
related.
Like
And also,
the all the Haveli side and the smugglers and all of that. It's the who's who gallery of rogue people. It's
yeah.
all the guy who is always in like the Ramsey brothers scene. He plays Jiva, the guy who bribes Lakhan, and then there's Amrish Puri, obviously Paresh Rawal, Raza Murad, and even Mukri shows up at some point, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
Gulshan
yeah.
Grover.
Gulshan Grover, Kesaria Vilaiti.
Yeah,
Oh my
The
god.
Kesaria.
name. One
Kesaria
of the
Vilayati.
best names ever.
Ever,
Yeah.
ever.
Ever. That is the coolest name to call
Also, like
somebody.
his introduction scene, he's making the Vakil drink, and the Vakil's like Zamir wakes up, right?
Yeah,
and
while drinking.
yeah, and Paresh Rawal says, "केसर की दारू पिला पिला के अभी अंग्रेजी पिला रहा है वो वकील को." What a line!
The best line, and it comes slightly later, is
Uh-huh.
Gulshan Grover when Anil Kapoor captures him, and so Gulshan Grover says, Sultana ka pota bad man?
Oh,
That was the best line. Sultana ka pota bad man.
and he also says, "करोड़ों की cocaine मैं बेचूंगा, Batman." Oh
It
man,
is so over the top, but
yeah,
it works so.
I'd forgotten that this is the movie in which, like, he starts saying Batman for the first time,
yeah,
right? Like,
Yeah,
this is where it starts, right?
yeah. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And also not just the line Batman, but Gulshan doing these kind of roles.
yeah.
Uh,
This is where it starts, and this is pretty much the rest of his career. I think, like, these kind of very over the top, weird get up, finding some sort of line that he can say that's kind of catchy with audiences. Um, yeah, this is pretty much sets the template for the rest of Gulshan Grover's career, because he wasn't like this in earlier movies. He was just like a henchman or just like a villain. But here he becomes this kind of over the top, and Kisaria Vilaiti is kind of the template he's been chasing ever since, I
Hmm.
feel. Um, yeah, and also Anupam Kher, he's in the RSS in this movie, right?
Ah.
he's like, probably he gives those vibes.
Yeah, by autobiographical role then.
Yes.
Um, uh, yeah, and then we need to talk about Amrish Puri though. Like, I think Amrish Puri, and I think this is kind of not, because there's so many villains in this movie, right? For me, Amrish Puri still stands out, like, for
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, his little eye twitch
I
thing.
twitch.
Genius move. Like he just has a very distinguishing characteristic that totally stands out from the rest. Like even Raza Murad has a motia bim and that white makeup and all of that. He's always in white as Sir John. But Amrish Puri, even like a scene where he's just chewing pan is more menacing than anything else. He's
Yeah,
just like the way he talks and the way he even feeds laddu to Madhuri.
that
It was
laddu.
so uncomfortable.
That laddu scene is so uncomfortable, and it also weirdly made me think of then Koila, where he's like
Mhm.
takes it a step further with Madhuri.
Yeah.
Like, he's such a good actor, and being surrounded by so many larger than life. Because I don't think Bishambar is larger than life. He is kind of actually a grounded villain, which makes him
Yeah.
more scary, you
Yeah.
know. And but yeah, that eye twitch, such a choice, and like even in the start, in the flashbacks where he has a very horrible wig on, but he just looks.
There,
He
there's a there's a scene where Vishambar and Bhanu have been released from prison, and Dilip Tahil is trying to tell his father to please kick them out of the house because he's like invited them home, and the two of them are like peeking out of the window,
Yeah.
yeah,
trying to listen. And it is so great because it is like cartoonishly villainish,
yeah,
but like it's Amrish Puri and he just sells it. Like Paresh is like in the background and you don't really
Yeah.
like notice him. But like the way that you just see like a little bit of Amrish Puri's face and it just sells it to you.
and the hairpiece that they put on him, my maroon chacha used to have this saying. He was the funniest guy ever. He used to say, "This hair is like khujli wala kutta." I don't know what that means, but I think that is a khujli wala kutta wale baal. Like that hair.
आपके मरहूम चाचा सचिन.
He had this knack for like really putting the finger on the thing, and I think his hair was khujli wala kutta hai. So
Makes sense.
and yeah, Paresh Rawal, it's interesting because he's clearly still in the B team era.
Yeah.
He's not become kind of the Paresh Rawal, that we saw becoming a bigger
It's
villain.
not
and
Bajaj
then-
yet.
Yeah, he's not didn't become a main villain, and then he didn't also become a real life villain like he is in now, right? So there's been an evolution, and this is like only step one. Yeah, I don't care, man. I'm gonna get banned. I don't care. I'm just gonna take it to the limit now. मेरे को email भेजी.
He's not yet at the level where he's drinking his own pee,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's just working it up to that level.
Like a beer, like a glass of beer, by the not. Yeah. And and the last villain, because we want to go through all of the villains we're talking about. Oh, we forgot about Vivya, by the way.
Divya, yeah.
No,
Is it
not
Vivya?
Divya. Vivya.
Vivya.
Her name
Vivya.
is Vivya.
Yeah,
Her name
Vivya.
is Vivya.
The subtitle says Vivya, which was also new to me.
That is how, I didn't know either.
I never knew it was Divya, Livia, or Vivya because VHS didn't have good
Nivya.
audio. So, yeah,
It was
Bhero
Nivya.
becomes Bhero. I don't
It is
know.
very that, yeah.
Minds are very narrow.
So, for those of you who haven't seen Ram Lakhan, so the big bad villains, like the international wing of Vishwambar and Bhanu's empire of no good Nick, is Raza Murad, who's playing this British, I guess.
His first name is Sir. His first name is Sir, last name is John.
Yeah. But
Sir John.
we have to draw the line between Sir Judah and Sir John. though.
Yes,
That
yes,
is the
yes.
clear connection there,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But the way Sir John is dressed, he feels like, you have Colonel Sanders from KFC and they tortured him to get the secret of his 11 spices और वो बन गया Sir John. इसकी like आंख फूटी हुई है, बाल हरा है, like he survived
आँख में
that torture.
salmonella हो गया मेरा.
Yeah, that's what Sir John feels like to me.
This is also like excellent example of how like no matter how good an actor might be, it's not a given that they will nail everything that's given to them. Like
Yeah.
Raza Murad is honestly a great actor and he plays the villain so well. But in this movie, he's just really over the top because he's
Yeah.
like he can't do what oh god, what's his name? Sir Judah, the guy that played Sir Judah, Raj Kapoor's
Pranath.
brother-in-law.
Pranath.
Premnath.
Pranath.
Yes, Premnath. Pranath seems
Who's
so-
Pranath? Who the heck is Pranath? Sorry.
That's like something Nirupa Roy would call her husband. Pranath.
Well done on the nasal one. Yeah. Pranath.
Premnath is he's like very good at like playing that kind of role. Like he did it for like Nasir Hussain a bunch of times as well, where he's playing this sort of anglicized villain, Raza Murad cannot do to save his life. So Sir John shows up, like we were talking about, like what is it, Kujli wala kutta wig for whom? For Amrish
Vishambar.
Puri, right?
Yeah.
For Amrish Puri. I mean, that is a step up from the wig that they gave poor Raza Murad. Like it is like literally like they cut off some broom and like stuck it on his head and said make do. And he's wearing these contacts, and it's just like it's a shit show.
But by the way,
Speaking
like
of
the thing,
contacts.
yes, exactly. That's
Yes, yes, yes.
we Sir Judah didn't talk, so he
Mhm.
needed a translator, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
here in this movie, he still has Vivia translating when Sir John can talk. That doesn't absolutely that makes no sense whatsoever. But talking about bad wigs, is that a Lady Diana wig that they put on the actor?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
Lady
yes,
Diana wig, right?
yes. That was like the first thing that I noticed. So Vivia is his henchwoman slash,
Entertainment producer,
yes.
content manager, social media head,
I
everything.
feel also like aerobics instructor because she's very proud of her, midriff. I feel like
And I don't know who
played by
this.
Sonika Gill. By the way,
Yeah.
Okay.
her name is
Yeah, I had
Sonika
no
Gill.
idea who that lady was. But she's also got these terrible contacts. And then she's also got like the lady Diana wig, which I feel was like Subhash Ghai, taking his badla for colonization and being like, take that, take that, England. This is what you
Yeah.
get. And yeah, and then there's of course Kesaria Vilayati, which is Gulshan Grover, and that's our main set of. Oh, and there's also Debu, right?
Debu, Debu,
Debu from America.
America, Debu from America. Hi.
तुमको पता नहीं मैंने अमेरिका में 12 साल डांस किया है
I have to talk about that part though. Is Debu scamming Bishambar though? Has he just been chilling in Bombay? Because it does not seem that he's been dancing for 12 years. Like the way he's like,
No.
Tera naam, tera naam, tera naam, tera naam.
He finally becomes a zero. But by the way,
Yeah.
speaking of Sonika Gill, I saw this on the IMDb trivia page saying at the celebration party for Ram Lakhan, apparently
Yes.
Sonika Gill slashed her wrist in the hotel, and Stardust magazine, carried this story. Sonika denied all allegations, and it was speculated that it was due to Subhash Ghai constantly yelling at her in front of everybody. But when Subhash was confronted, he admitted to Sonika's condition, but said it was due to her personal problems.
Yeah.
Just
That man is such like trash. Like he deserves everything that's like coming to him. Anyway, so does anyone want to explain who Debu from America is for the people who haven't watched this film?
So, I mean, I want to like we kind of like shifted the schedule I had for the how we were breaking things down, but I want to just say how much a effect this movie had on me to the point of embarrassment. Right? I dressed like Lakhan. I dressed like Lakhan. I had a stick like Lakhan. I would know all of the dialogues like Lakhan. But the problem was with that is that I
You were
understood.
you were in a small town in Belgium. I think that was the problem with that.
No. I was in Pakistan. I don't know why I was in Pakistan when this movie came out. So I remember being in front of my dadi's almari, doing the whole Lakhan bit to the point of nauseum. I'm sure I annoyed the crap out of everybody. But the irony of it is, it's also where I figured out for the first time in my life that people coming from outside of India, Pakistan are actually Debus. So it was like this whole thing in my mind about like, I don't want to be Debu, I want to be Lakhan.
born to be lucky and forced to be Devu.
And that is the tragedy of being, an NRI or a outside
Burger.
Pakistani, forever forced to be Debu when you want to be a Lakhan,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
sadly.
Yeah, so, I mean, and I think, again, this movie is also very, like, pro India, pro religion, pro
Mhm.
all of these things that are like very, obviously
It's
in the
very much the roots of Pardes being seeded here, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
evolution
yeah.
of the Debu thing, that the West is bad, is what takes progression, and that story is expanded in Pardes, where almost like Apurva Agnihotri becomes that character in that movie.
Yeah. It is a definite extension, but it's also just the themes of, like, I had to, like, I googled what Amarnath's Tirth Yatra was. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
know, like, I still didn't know. So I was
Mhm.
like googling it. What is it like? Now I have Wikipedia, so I
It's
can
like a
actually check.
pilgrimage.
Yeah. And I really went into it. I was like, wow, this and that. And like, whoa, there's a whole thing in a cave. And like, I was like, understand why it takes 2 months to get there. I was like, wow.
Mhm.
Because I was like, Raki just F's off for 2 months and all of this stuff is happening. Where is she going? And then I looked at it. I was like, wow, this is quite intense for an old lady to go all the way up into
Yeah.
Pahalgam, apparently. Which, yeah. Uh, yeah, so I had to kind of deep dive it, but there's a lot of these themes happening in this movie. I mean, obviously, you talked about that this is Diwar, but I'm assuming it's also a lot of your religious texts of Ram and Lakhan and all of this,
Mhm.
and Radha and stuff like that. Things
Yeah.
that I necessarily didn't get when I was a kid watching this movie, right? So the Debu from
But
India
now
character
that
is.
you have watched Adi Purush, you know.
I know.
Now, Adipurush has explained Hinduism to me, like you guys do famously, right? Uh, but yeah, Debu was an interesting character because I was like, oh, so anybody that comes from the West is basically an instant rapist. Like,
Mhm.
we will
Yeah.
rape quicker than we will cook ramen, basically. Like, it's like really fast. But yeah, he goes at it the moment he sees Madhuri in
Yeah.
front of all of these other women. He just goes at it. He's like, I'm from America. Hi, let's do it. And he gets beaten the crap out of him. Although I feel he gets beaten the crap out of it more for insulting Raki than actually attempting a rape. Because I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
the rape gets forgotten quite quickly just in the general, you know, um, aspects of it, because
I mean,
immediately,
that shows the moral order for Subhash Ghai, na? Like
Yes.
ma
yeah,
sabse upar hai.
Pehle mummy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pehle mummy.
Exactly. Yeah. And also he's like into, he really thinks he's kind of like hot shit, so the whole Main Hoon Hero song that happens later on, which is unbelievably catchy. I have to say that song is so catchy. But
But it
luck,
also that song is very much inspired from My Heart Is Beating, right? The Main Hoon Ek Hero and like My Heart Is
Yeah.
Beating. It's the same
Beating.
tune.
yeah,
Mhm.
100%, 100%. Like, that's the era where you could just, rip off anything that
Mhm.
you want and nobody could care really. But also, like, Lakhan pulls a Bugs Bunny on him, basically. Like,
Yeah.
that's basically the whole song. Like, yeah. So I think that's the villain Kitoli. But let's get back to, our main characters a little bit. Let's talk about, the Ram and Lakhan bonding, maybe. Because it is it like, it's not the first time Jackie and Anil have come together, but it feels like
Mhm.
it's
This was probably
it's
like one of the bigger ones,
Yeah.
they found their groove. Like Parinda happened the same year, and then what else have they done together? I can't exactly remember.
tons of things they've done together, but it just feels that it kind of solidified their
I mean, yeah,
brotherly vibes
it's
that they
very
have together,
like
right?
it's in the name of the movie itself. And they became like whenever they appear on stage shows or on like reality TV shows, they are always introduced as with the song Mere Anmol Ratan. Yeah.
And also, I think it's, in a way, it's kind of taking on the mantle of Amitabh and Shashi Kapoor, for example, in a way,
Mhm.
like that kind of like two stars getting together and being able to create, like, magic. And I think it's one of those tropes that Bollywood needs. Like, I think Bollywood needs two men to get along really well in a movie to make movies work. And I feel we don't have this at the moment.
Not,
We
not
don't
not just
have this.
work, for them to be like memorable, for them to
Yeah.
have a certain imprint on pop culture for a long long time. You do need that sort of symbolism of the Ram Lakhan in a way,
Yeah.
because it's in our text.
So Film Companion actually got there before us, and they actually did a interview with Anil about his friendship with Jackie, and they've basically done 12 films together. So it's
Wow.
Andar Bahar, Yudh,
Mm.
Karma,
Yeah.
Ram Lakhan, Kala Bazaar, Parinda, Roop Ki Rani, Choron Ka Raja, 1942, A Love Story, Trimurti, Kabhi Na Kabhi, Lajja, and Shootout at Wadala.
Mm.
Hmm.
Nice.
So actually, they're not played brothers as much now that you go over that
Yeah.
Mm.
list, right? And not that
Mm-hmm.
many times, but you do kind of. This one really solidifies in our brain that they played a
I
lot of
mean,
brothers when they
Mm.
haven't.
this was the most successful collaboration between them, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
all the
Commercially, of
other,
course.
yeah, because yes, like everyone remembers Parinda and stuff like that, but Parinda was a huge flop when it came out.
yeah.
And Trimurti was a huge flop. And I don't know how many people have actually seen something like Yudh and like Kala Bazaar or even Karma. I think Karma was a huge hit, but it wasn't as big a hit as Ram
It,
Lakhan, I don't
yeah,
think.
it's also not known as a Anil Kapoor and a Jackie Shroff movie. Karma has a
Yeah,
much larger canvas, right? There's the
yeah,
whole Dilip Kumar and Dr. Dang angle to that. So
yeah.
Yeah, and that movie you're saying, Kabhi yeah, Kabhi Na Kabhi, I did watch that one. I remember
mm,
watching that one. Priyadarshan made this. It was such an odd one. It's a really odd movie that there was. Uh, but yeah, Lakhan is obviously obsessed since birth with Radha, which is a
mhm.
big theme in this movie, right? And what do you think? Because this was also the ascent of Madhuri's stardom, right? Like there was this she came, like Ek Do Teen had just happened, and then this happened, and it's like you could feel the energy of a star in the making, right?
Yeah,
Although
Hmm.
I'm not sure if this is part of her story, I guess. But this is not her being center stage.
no,
But it is her having a small role, but taking it so much further because the star
yeah,
that she is, like, even
Hmm.
her looking through a window is like, man, what a star. And I don't think anybody else could have done it the way Madhuri does it, just because
yeah.
of the sheer magnetism and presence and just beauty she has. Like, she's so pretty. Like, it is like eye gouging, like how pretty she is. It's insane. Yeah.
It is interesting because okay, a lot of people are going to be really upset that I make this this comparison, but you know that Janvi Kapoor Junior NTR movie that came out, what is it, Devara? I think
Hmm.
Yeah.
is what it's called. And in it, Janvi basically plays this little bit of a troublemaker who
Hmm.
is a bit of a femme fatale, and has grown up with this guy her whole life, and then she's just a little bit, like acting up a little bit. And I feel like that was like a pale copy of this character that Madhuri's
Hmm.
playing, because she's not a very straightforward character. I think in the hands of a lesser actress, she would have been a very much a flower pot role, right? She was just like the object of like the sweet girlfriend who's like waiting at home. But that's not who Madhuri is, and that's not who Radha is. Radha, like goes from being a little bit like unsure to being like furiously angry at Lakhan.
Which is one of your favorite things, Madhuri being
Yes,
angry at men.
I love it. I love it. I have a whole essay. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube, and it's basically about Madhuri being India's favorite angry young woman. But also, Ram Lakhan is the kind of movie that built Madhuri's career.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people think about flower pot roles as something that you do to just pay the bills, Whereas Madhuri basically took it as an opportunity. She was like, I have like 10 minutes on screen, and those 10 minutes you're going to remember to your grave.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you need talent like Madhuri's to make that work.
Yeah,
Um,
when Sujoy was talking about that laddu scene with Amrish Puri being so horrific, right? Like he's stuffing this laddu in her mouth, but obviously we feel Amrish Puri is villainous in that role and it stuck us, but it's the reaction that Madhuri is giving, her helplessness, her eyes, her
Yeah.
the way she's even eating that laddu or not wanting to. It's such a fine balance of how to do it,
Yeah.
and yeah, I at that era, I don't think anybody else could have done it,
Yeah.
And
like,
this is like our early stages of the career, right? And
yeah.
she was promised like a cameo in Karma, which got edited out. And Subhash Ghai was like, "We will relaunch you." But by the time Ram Lakhan came out, she had already done Tezab. But this is still very early stages of career, and we don't see actresses in like within the span of 2-3 movies gaining so much screen presence and conveying so much expression and connecting with the audience and in such level. I would also like to point out that the flower potness of this role is like it's very evident by the screen time that she gets beyond the songs. It's just very very few lines. It's mostly reaction shots. It's mostly like being happy at Lakhan's arrival, being romantic to her, and being disgusted by the villains, and then obviously the whole betrayal and the dhoka and the bevafai that she experiences, all of that. But the songs that she gets along with Saroj Khan, they just bring it, man. The Bollywood magicness, the cinema like splendor that they have to showcase in those songs, like um uh, even in the introduction, My Name Is Lakhan song, with her introduction, that the parda opens and she just speaks at Lakhan. What an introduction. And that whole um, Tu Mera Mohan Main Teri Radha, that whole section in the Antara is such a great song. But at some point, I even thought like it would go like a good companion piece with Tezab in the Keh Do Ke Tum, because it's almost the similar location in Uti or wherever that it's shot. But my favorite, obviously, is O Ramji. It's like up there with one of the best songs shot by Subhash Ghai, Ashok Mehta, that whole team, Lakshmikant Pyarelal, Saroj Khan, Madhuri, everybody bring it their A game.
Yeah,
What a
it's really
brilliant.
one of those roles that's in the performance and not the writing. I
Mm,
feel like,
yeah.
she elevates it so much, because it would have been a completely forgotten actress, a forgotten thing if anybody else had played it.
Because we have Dimple's example in the same
Mm,
movie,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that Subhash Guy was shortchanging Dimple, or like, he underwrote her character or any of that stuff. But Dimple is very clearly just checking the boxes for the
Mm,
paycheck.
yeah.
Um,
She gets to hold a gun. Dimple
yeah.
gets to hold a gun.
Yeah.
Like she does get those moments, but when she's holding the gun, it feels like, she's not really
It's just a
in it.
prop
Like,
in her hands.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a prop. And yeah, I think, yeah, the main thing for Dimple is her hair. I think
Oh
that's
my
the main
God.
thing. Um,
We get an introduction to Dimple's hair through the keyhole. Like,
yeah, yeah,
like narrow down the vision. This is the center stage main character.
So I remember Dimple's hair in the 80s that used to
Mhm.
be a legit cultural artifact.
Yeah.
yeah.
There was this soap, I can't remember, something glory.
Life Boy.
No,
Crowning
something,
glory.
something. Crowning glory.
Crowning glory.
Crowning glory. That's what it was. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And she used to have this ad where she would, I don't know, like she would like come out of a swimming pool and like slick back her hair, and everybody would be like, "Oh my god, look at her, like so like gorgeous, blah blah." But I remember that, like I was a teeny tiny toddler, but I
Yeah.
remember Dimple's ad because
Yeah.
she was just so gorgeous,
And it
and
was
her
not
hair was
just on
like a
TV.
mane.
It was not just on TV, it was on print as well, right? You get all these print shots of Dimple's hair, and she was the hair girl. Like, yeah.
Well, I think the movie doesn't justify Dimple too much, like her role,
Yeah,
and
Mhm.
she feels a bit checked out too, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think we will be discussing Sagar soon, and I think then that's going to be the right moment to talk about Dimple. I think Dimple Kabadia.
And Dimple's
Um,
hair.
yeah, and Dimple has Dimple's hair. We Yeah, and then it's basically Lakhan, right? We
Mhm.
have to talk about. I mean, to this era, to this time, this is Anil Kapoor's entry music.
Mhm.
Lakhan, my name is Lakhan.
Yeah.
And how crazy is that, right? Like, it is such an iconic character. Also,
It's by default the main character of the movie. It's called Ram Lakhan, but it's the Lakhan movie, right?
yeah,
And as you said, this is the intro music to Anil Kapoor for all these years. But even in the movie, every song ends with "My name is Lakhan." Every single song, every single, like, I thought Bekadar Bekhabar Bewafa, that song would not end with "My name is Lagan," but Anupam Kher comes from somewhere and that music plays again. Like, yeah, even Tera Naam Liya, I thought that was the Jackie and Dimple song, but it ends with "My name is Lagan" again. Like, Anil
which
Kapoor
as
is
a
there in a sari.
which as a 10-year-old watching this movie was the funniest thing I had
It's
ever seen
still
in my
hilarious
life. It is the
because it's still hilarious, man. It's so hilarious.
and it's just like, like this, Anil, you can feel it in that time where he's
Mhm.
like, this is my time, I have to
Mhm.
grab these opportunities the way I can, and it can ride me to superstardom,
Yeah.
and he just gives it his all. And like, what an era. He had Tezab just come out, he had Ram Avatar, Joshile, then he immediately did the Ishwar,
Mhm.
after this. Like, I mean, if he would have been able to sustain this, because Parinda came out the same year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, Amba, which was a critically, like, he was
Yeah.
hitting it on all things. Jamai Raja came out the next year. Like, if he had been able to sustain this quality, and I think also he was just beholden by the kind of movies were being made, and a lot of it became repetition of this kind of role, the Tezab role, the
Mhm.
the Ram Lakhan role.
But also the films that he did that became iconic were giant flops in their time. Like every millennial I know today references Lamhe
Hmm.
and talks about how
Lamay
much
was
they
a
love
big,
it.
big flop. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge flop. And Parinda, like again, every millennial references Parinda as one of the finest gangster movies that ever came out of India. Huge flop when it came out.
Yeah.
All of these movies, like 1942, A Love Story, everyone is like talking about like, oh my God, such a beautiful song, like I love it. And then it came out and it was again a huge flop. So
Underperformed, I would say that one
yeah,
underperformed. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I don't know, like it's just like bad luck, and yeah, it just
But
forces
also,
ourselves
like, he
control.
was also working a lot, right? So the quality of
Yeah.
the movies, you weren't really sure. Like a Jamai Raja or a Jeevan Ek Sangharsh would that be a B grade movie? Like a Rakhwala came and it was very much a B grade movie. So he did Tezab, which was like very, very different. Like, it's a totally different league in terms of quality of a movie. And then he makes all this Intekam and Rakhwala and all of these
But I
movies.
think it's the era where we're still
Yeah.
kind of stuck in that VHS era,
Mhm.
DVD beginning, but we hadn't reached the multiplex era or the NRI era. Like,
Yeah.
the outside markets hadn't been reached, and I think that's what was kind of like, he was very much an actor stuck in an older era where the
System.
yeah, in an older system, and it needed to evolve and kind of be able to do things for him, and that only really happened when the Khans came in, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of bad luck timing, and then a lot of flops that happened, like, like when Roop Ki Rani Choron Ka Raja happened. It really
Yeah.
kind of, but I do think a lot of these names that I've mentioned, like, are still iconic roles, even if they didn't necessarily work. Like, even a
Yeah.
movie like Ladla, which I almost feel Ladla had this idea of this is his comeback, which, when you think about it, is insane, because that movie came out in 92, and we're
Hmm.
talking about 89, 90. How is 92 a comeback, like, but I remember it had this vibe behind it. So yeah, it's
I think
like, but
mostly because 92 is mostly known for Beta, right? And Beta was a Madhuri movie. It was kind of the star was waning on Anil's side in a way.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, yeah. But yeah, but this is one of those iconic movies that have kind of like, solidified the love that people have for Anil Kapoor. And
Yeah.
he delivers it his all. He's like, the
He's doing it. Like
dramatics.
the action is like brutal. He's going for it, man. It's like,
Yeah,
we sort of scream at the screen, and when Shahrukh he hurts his knees and he's giving it just all. This is that same thing. Anil Kapoor is like jumping in the mud, beating the shit out of Debu. It's all that. He's doing comedy like nobody else. He's even doing like that Vijay Merchant, Vijay Hazare thing. So sort of the
100%.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
All you
exactly
need
the
is
same.
confidence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, like, what you're saying is so true, is like he gets beaten up, and that is
Mm,
something that a Bollywood hero didn't, you didn't see that on screen,
yeah.
right? And obviously the Lakhan character needs that redemption arc, he needs the crap beaten out of him for him to, get redeemed from what. And he actually literally says it, like, my wounds are the pain, is the price I've paid for everything I've done. But that's not something Amitabh would ever do, like, except maybe in Agnipath or something like that. But I
Hmm.
don't remember him being beaten to oblivion this way. And it was horrible to watch as a 10-year-old, your hero getting beaten up
I
like
mean,
that.
we've seen Amitabh getting beaten up by Vinod Khanna in Amar Akbar Anthony.
It doesn't count. It was a fake fight. I don't believe
भाई
that.
भाई भाई में होता रहता है.
But yeah, it's like also like if you think about movies like Hifazat, where his arms are burnt and things like that.
Hmm.
Like there's so many of these things that, like Tezab, we talked about it. Like he gets into hospital and he gets like bloody battered. Like this is not something that heroes necessarily did, and Anil Kapoor is iconic for that. And then you're right, Shahrukh took it a bit further, but Anil is amazing in it. And also it's so funny because physically, like, they're wearing these vardis and they have like short sleeves and they have such skinny arms. Like, it's like they're so skinny, but they're like it's just the way
Do
they
you even
project
lift,
them.
bro? Is what Asim
Exactly.
said.
That's exactly what Asim is saying, because Asim does lift. And
Uh,
it's like, but it's so funny the way they projected the, because like there's a sequence where Rakhi is doing her Rakhi thing and then she kind of falls in a coma and Jackie just lifts her up and carries her out. And I was like, that is so cool. That is such like a show of strength. Like, I'm just going to
uh-huh.
carry my mom out,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh,
just
a little bit. I have to interject. That whole scene where Rakhi like faints is basically shot in the Andaz Apna Apna house, right? That's the
Yes.
house that he bought. Anil
Yes.
Kapoor with his Papki Kamai bought the Andaz Apna Apna house. And we have been talking a lot about that house on this podcast. So I need an official list of the multiverse of the Mud Island house, of all these movies that share that movie, because I also think this movie, this house shows up in Maine Pyar Kiya, where the whole
Yeah.
Jeevan's party happens. Is that
Yeah.
same house?
Yes.
Um,
like the
It's in
people.
Chandni. Chandni. It's Chandni's house as well.
Chandnisni's house as well. Yeah.
Um, it is also in Divana.
Mhm.
It is Divya Bharti and Sushma State's house.
Love. It was in
Yeah,
Love.
It
It's
was in
yeah,
love. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
all
should
of
we
these.
should do this, and then Sagar has some houses that we want to talk about later on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I know which house that is. I do wonder about the people that used to live in those houses. When did they live there? Because there are constantly movie
It
shootings
was,
going on.
yeah, it was.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
people actually live there. I
yeah.
think these are just like sets.
Set houses.
And,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um,
But sorry, Asim, you were saying about Jackie Shroff lifting
Yeah,
Rakhi.
it's just like like there was an interview with Sunny Deol about like Sunny Deol doing a Sunny Deol thing, like, but he was saying, there's no heroes left, like,
Uh-huh.
there's no. It's all about 6 packs and 7 packs and stuff like that. But it kind of made me think about, like, I'm making fun of those skinny arms, but there is a more where you're lifting your mom up and
Hmm.
carrying her out. It shows some sort of masculine strength that, coming slowly out of a pool with like glistening pecs doesn't show the same
Yeah.
way. And I think that's just what.
Yeah, because that's like you're talking about visual imagery more than
Mm,
anything else. Because when you see a man lifting his unconscious mother, that is an emotional view
mm,
of
Mhm.
that character. Whereas when you see a man coming out of a pool, that's like a sexy cue. And like Indians, for better or for worse, we'll just react more to like ma than we will to like you know beef.
Mm.
So that's just how things are.
Yeah, but like even then, like come back to something like the first one that's coming up in my mind is like a movie like Antim the Truth, right? Um,
Said
Wow.
nobody other than Asim ever.
no, but it's just one of those movies where it's very much about a recent movie with very much about pecs and shirts off and
Mhm.
fighting in, I think in the fish market with Salman or something like that. But you're not able to recreate actual strength, however much you're lifting and how cut your body is. Salman could do it because he does have, like, his muscles were kind of an add-on, right, to the kind of strength he was
Hmm.
projecting. And I don't think even Shah Rukh can do it. Like his physique of having muscles is very much in a essential way than in a strength way. So
Like that is that famous scene of Shah Rukh lifting Deepika in Chennai Express,
yeah,
right? And you don't see strength there in a way because
yeah,
it's Shah Rukh.
yeah.
It's all about the romance rather
It's
than strength.
romance, right?
Yeah.
Like so, his strength is romantic more than
Mhm.
kind of physical.
Masculine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of an interest. And I think a lot of times when a movie like Animal or like Sandeep Reddy Vanga or like or even a lot of South Indian movies, they are able to hit this note that Ram
Hmm.
Lakhan very much hits, that a lot of the current crops of Ayan Mukherjee's and like all of these guys cannot cinematically hit anymore. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of times when they're talking about we're losing this, we don't have that anymore, this is that thing that they're pinpointing on.
Mhm.
So that's what
But
I
we
was kind
also
of.
don't like in Bollywood, at least we don't necessarily make movies about Ma and Ma Ka Pyar and all of that anymore.
But I think we don't make movies of an emotion that hits this
Hmm.
deeply,
Well,
So
it's
it's
all
not
about war
necessarily.
anyway. So now
Yeah, yeah,
that's
and
the
I
whole
think
point.
yeah, you can make a war movie, but not everybody wants to have a war. Not everybody wants to defend certain things the way that you're
Yeah.
defending it.
I think like the last time that we saw something like that was like probably Rang De Basanti, which is a movie that we have
Hmm.
not yet discussed on Khandaan, but we will at some point.
Have you not?
Yeah,
Um,
We have.
have we?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
Yeah.
remember.
yeah. That's
Oh.
okay, but yeah, yeah,
And in that we have Wahida Rahman playing like the mom. And so you're still talking about the war and you're talking about the loss of lives of the soldiers and everything, but you have that ma element to like really bring it home
Hmm.
to to the audience as to like what it is that this means and the impact and gravity of of these events.
yeah,
Um, and that is what we are missing, I think.
yeah. Rang De Basanti was episode 234, Amrita. You should listen to it. It's a good episode. You were there.
uh,
Yes.
uh,
Shall we? Any big sequences? Any big, because this movie has a lot of big sequences too, right? Like the
Yeah.
explosions are big. The action is like this is like buddy. Like also Sujoy, beautifully shot. No,
Yeah.
like all of
Ashok
the
Mehta.
sunrise and the all of these things. I was
He
thinking of you when I was.
loves the sunrise. The golden hour shots are just on the money, man. It's so beautifully shot. Um, like I have to start with the cold open, which keeps on opening for like 30-40 minutes. Like the Lakhan appears at the 40-minute mark or something. Until then it's just the recap. It's just such a dense like two-part movie that's happening. It's like the Hobbit prequel before the Lord of the Rings appears, it's just nuts. Like the whole story of the Thakurs and the Bhais and all of that is happening at such breakneck speed, and then we sort of expand on the story with what the current events are between Ram and Lakhan getting into police academy and all of that. And then the climax happens, which is another haphazardly written blunder line, which is a very much 80s trope of like we have to resolve this by the villains getting their asses kicked and police
mhm.
is finally recognizing their power and like everybody's just getting shot. That's
Hmm.
the only resolution. Like everybody's dispensable. Sabko maar do.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I also really like the sequence of when they lure Lakhan with the Haveli.
Yeah.
Because the way the drums are there, they're kind of he's walking in, and we know as an audience that Lakhan is screwed. At that moment, but
Yeah.
Lakhan doesn't know yet, and the moment he actually realizes that he's gotten in over his head.
Yeah.
I thought that was just an amazing whole setup
But
of sequence.
one more thing, though, there is a whole thing about Ram not realizing where Lakhan is. Lakhan is taken. Everybody's worried about where is Lakhan, where is Lakhan. There is not a big database. There is the Haveli. You just need to look into the Haveli. That's where he is being kidnapped to.
It's like also Saeed Jaffrey not knowing who's selling out the trucks. Is like there's 4 people in your force.
Exactly.
and Ram keeps telling you it's his brother. So how big of an idiot are you, Saeed Jaffrey?
Yeah. Saeed Jaffrey is the most incompetent senior police officer ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I think how far you can get with just having an anglicized accent, in the police force. I feel that's what it's about.
This movie, I have to come back to Saeed Jaffrey for just one more point, and it's that this movie when that whole climax thing is happening and everybody's fighting, and Saeed Jaffrey has brought the police force finally to beat Sarjon and his Gunde and Kesaria Vilaiti and everybody. There is a scene where Lakhan literally throws a grenade and they get blasted into thin air. And Saeed Jaffrey is so happy he gives an flying kiss to Lakhan. And I was like, that's a shot they really kept in the script. They really shot it and made that happen.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to point out Vivia's love story with Lakhan.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know when exactly she fell in love with him necessarily.
And also, after all those promises, they made Radha really believe that was happening, and Lakhan.
That was a quick
that was the
turnaround.
point of Madhuri ek aur dance ho jaye.
I think that was just a setup for that final song, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, just the fact that Sir John was like, I'm going to marry Madhuri now.
Yeah, what the heck?
That was also a thing in this. This movie has so many little threads here and there.
Yeah,
that you like.
Panchvi shadi. Panchvi shadi.
Yeah.
In this economy, Sir John.
Only Sir Johns can do 5 marriages. Look at Elon Musk. So, anything? Do we want to quickly? What were your favorite songs? Like the whole album is just amazing.
Yeah.
But which one? Like Sujoy, was your one's Oramji one? Is that your favorite?
Oramji is it's always on my playlist. But I also listen to Tera Naam Liya a lot because it's such a happy and peppy number, and we don't get to listen to. There is not many songs in the Manhar Udas discography, and this is one of the big hits of Manhar Udas, so I really like that.
I also like Tera Naam Liya's how it starts because it's Anil Kapoor doing Shanta Bhai and Sevanand. Hey, Shanta Bhai bol rahi hu. Which has been a template for all of my impressions of women on the podcast.
You become a boy from Maharashtra, basically.
I thought that was and then the Oramji, the Bada Dukh Dina. First of all, Madhuri is just so pretty in this song. But in the song itself, there's also like an interlude where she does a whole choreography of her clapping. She's just clapping, and it is like the amazingest scene ever. Like I just love that thing where she's just dancing and clapping. I love that part of the song.
There was a Doordarshan, some sort of a film discussion going on when Shekhar Kapoor was called to discuss the movies of Subhash Ghai or something, or Saroj Khan, I can't remember. But he did a whole section where he introduced Oramji, and he talked about, when Saroj Khan was given the brief, it was like there will be Oramji is mostly sitting and singing, right? And the emotions. But there is an instrumental bit, the sitar bit, where Lakhan comes out of nowhere in her imagination, and he's playing the duffli, and then the sitar happens where Madhuri is just dancing, pure dancing, and that's not necessarily classical Kathak, but it's Bollywood Saroj Khan choreography, and Madhuri dances the F out of it. It's just so brilliant. Like she shows like what you can bring to the table.
Yeah. Honestly, like, and we don't talk about it always in terms of that level of film criticism, but I was watching a documentary called Wick is Pain about
Oh
how
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
made John Wick.
Mhm.
And Keanu said in that, I've always looked up to De Niro and Scorsese because De Niro, Scorsese is De Niro's director, and
Hmm.
with John Wick I found my director, like
Hmm.
Chad Stahelski,
Chad,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And for Madhuri, that's Saroj Khan, right?
yeah.
It's not a movie director, it's Saroj Khan. And that combination together is something that has created like images and sequences that are gonna withstand the test of time, And it was, I don't think Saroj Khan would have been Saroj Khan without Madhuri, and Madhuri would not be Madhuri without
Yeah,
Saroj Khan,
for
And it's
sure.
such a, and I think this is one of those songs that really exemplifies why they were so strong together.
Like she's to this day, even when Saroj Khan is no more with us, she always refers to Saroj Khan as Guruji,
Guruji.
Yeah.
and Saroj Khan, when she used to talk about Madhuri in many of her interviews, she used to call Madhuri Bachchi. Like
Yeah.
that's the relationship that they shared off screen. That's how their like mentorship and the Guruji relationship with her, and that shows on screen the dedication they put into that work.
Yeah. Yeah. Amrita, what is your favorite kind of songs?
I mean, yeah, like the Jackie and Dimple song is like probably my top one, just because Bada Dukh Deena is like a like it's not an all season song for me, like
It's too much dukh.
yeah, it's like and I prefer to see it rather than like play it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whereas like Tera Naam Liya is like something that I'll just like hum to myself.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It
And then
also has a Subhash Ghai cameo in it. That's
Yeah.
the song
On
that
the
it has.
EST.
Yeah.
despite that, and My Name is Lakhan is still like one of my favorites. Like
Yeah.
I know like everyone is just like, well, yeah, of course, but it's when I think of Anil Kapoor, that's the song that I think
Yeah.
of.
Yeah. Especially that dance with the arms that he does. That again,
Yeah.
Saroj Khan probably, right? Like that's
Yeah.
probably she kind of made this iconic dance
Like
for her.
when they shot Galla Gudiya in
Yeah.
Dil
Yeah.
Dhadakne Do, they brought that back in. Like
Yeah.
Ranveer Singh and Farhan Akhtar, they were both dancing, and Anil Kapoor joins in because that's a
Yeah, I think like that's the song that will be playing like when Anil Kapoor passes away. Like may that be a long time away, but yeah, that's definitely going to be the movie that the song that they play.
I also like in Main Hoon Wo Hero that Lakhan and his gang brought props with them. They have like big ass zeros and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also this, why I want to talk quickly about Main Hoon Wo Hero is that this movie also made me realize that there are certain Subhash Ghai-isms in movies, right? So
Yeah.
the
They were
revolving
crane.
yeah, the crane shot for sure, but also the revolving stage comes into play because when Vivia is talking and giving her intro,
Yeah.
which is stupid, but it's like the movie, the thing is revolving, and then also in Tera Naam Liya, that keyhole shot where he's looking at Dimple Kapadia through the keyhole is again a shot that we then see in Khalnaik. So
Der se aana.
yeah, and the other thing also when Lakhan goes into the Haveli and all of those drums are playing,
Yeah.
made me think of Vidhata with the Bajar Dal, that kind of sequence with Amrish Puri, the heavy drums, and also with I don't know, is it Main Hoon Wo Hero? Yeah, I think it is because no, Bekadar. Subhash Ghai loves his blackface. Like,
Oh my
also, like, because, and the funny part is these, because you recognize, because I've seen the song so many times, you end up recognizing the background dancers, right?
Yeah.
And there is always that one background dancer that I always keep talking about with the curly hair that was in Chalbaz. He's in here too. And then
he's also in Mr. India.
He's everywhere. I was Googling what his name was, and apparently there's a lot of people trying to Google what his name was, and nobody knows it. So I want to know who that. He's apparently an assistant of Saroj Khan, and that's why he shows up in so many songs.
Yeah.
That's how far my research went. But the funny part is he's one of the dancers in the Lakhan song, and then he's also black-faced, and then he's the background dancer with Vivia. So it's like the same curly hairs, but now he's in blackface, which is
Yeah.
again one of those Subhash Ghai things. He loves a vamp, and he loves his drums, and he loves his blackface. You know. Any other random notes, Amrita, about Ram Lakhan that you want to say? Does the movie still hold up for you? By the way, we didn't talk about that.
I think it mostly did, but also because this movie has been, like, elements of this movie have been sort of borrowed and improved upon and shown in so many different movies that came after it. The impact of this movie has also lessened because of that, because we've seen that, like the Vengeance Beva in this one is
That's such a
not.
great title, by the way.
I know. The Vengeance Beva in like Karan Arjun is like way better than the Vengeance
Yeah.
Beva in this one,
Yeah.
So like things like that, but also the comedy in this film. I can't do 80s comedy anymore. Like it's just
I remember I used to be obsessed with that scene where Lakhan visits Anupam Kher and then he puts eggs under his dhoti.
yes.
And it didn't even get a laugh out of me this time, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Shakahari ended.
Yeah, Shakahari. And at that time, I didn't even know what Shakahari meant.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
remember, because I remember everything about the scene. I could do it by heart, but I also remember I didn't know what Shakahari meant at that time. So that's the lasting impact of this movie.
By the way, Anupam Kher and Satish Kaushik basically tied to win the Best Filmfare Comic Actor that year for this movie.
One sad thing I also thought of when I was watching this movie, because it's that sequence of them three together, is when he passed away and Anupam Kher asked
yeah.
Anil to come down and Anil Kapoor just couldn't.
Yeah.
It just made me think how long their collaboration and their friendship has going on, and like losing one member of your friend group, something that I know is so painful. It's so painful and so hard, and I was just remembering how tough it must be for Anil Kapoor and Anupam Kher, who I don't like, but it's still painful for him, I guess. Like, yeah, it's one of those movies that's really iconic. But yeah, Sujoy, does the movie still stand up for you?
It does, because this movie just goes forever. It's I don't know how long this movie is, but it
It's very
packs
long.
so much in, man. So much in. It's so densely packed. There is no moment. There's no like ounce of fat in this movie. It's just masala phek ke maar rahe hain mere muh pe. It's pretty much that. So I didn't have time where I could sit back and like think about something that came into my mind. It just so densely packed that this movie still holds for me. But one thing I noticed, that how like Raki has been doing many movies since until the time when Ram Lakhan came into the picture, but her bong accent is still very intact. When she's like having that Bhagwan scene in the temple, she says like nyay, so wrong. And when she says pratigya, she's a pratigya. Oh my god. Yeah.
But even
Oh.
her pronunciations are said in my mind, because she has a certain way of pronouncing these things. It's so iconic. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
I had trouble watching this movie again, just because I know it by heart. It is a very long movie.
Yeah.
So I think it would be hard for me to recommend this movie to people that have not lived through that masala era. But I think if you have lived the masala era and you understand these conventions, then it's probably one of the best movies out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It is the formula, and it delivers it so much better, and it's really heightened in the right moments. And you can see that Subhash Ghai was in a groove of understanding cinema, making it spectacle, throwing money at it at the right spots, and really buddy picture, and all of that he delivers. But I just think the conventions of storytelling have changed so much that it would be hard to kind of get into this, the comedy of it, the drama of it. But I think if you've lived through that era, it's literally one of the best things ever. So but revisiting, I did feel some comedy doesn't work anymore. It takes a long time. Ram I found very annoying also a lot of times, like his behavior towards Lakhan was also like being a big brother. I don't think that was a good big brother example to be. He didn't help Lakhan at all in any way, shape, or form. So, and also he's like publicly humiliating him and all that kind of thing. He's like dissing him in front of his mom, and like I think a lot of the problems that Lakhan was having was because Ram was such a shit brother, to be honest. But maybe this is just my 2025 therapy brain that can kind of analyze these things, where in 89 there was no such thing. But yeah, that's it for Ram Lakhan. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, if you have any other thoughts, drop us a line at youpodcasting@gmail.com. I think we covered pretty much everything. I don't think any other thought can exist about Ram Lakhan except the ones that we've done. Sujoy, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at 9E3K. And you can also follow Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast.
Amrita?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Amrita IQ. And also, we drop like special episodes, little catch-ups, reviews on our Patreon channel, which you can join for as little as $1 or even free. Actually, we do have like content every so often that is for free. You can sign up anytime you want, and we are also running a campaign where you can pay upfront for a year, which gets you things like like a massive discount actually. So that's a really good deal, and it allows us to make some really exciting projects that are in the pipeline. So check that out.
Yeah, and also it's really one of the reasons we keep doing this is our lovely Patreon community. I don't think this podcast could have continued without them.
Yeah.
So join us there. And I think the discount part is interesting, but it's also just, I think a lot of people in India were saying, it's hard to have like a monthly subscription because you need to do some payment validation, which then doesn't work out. This way you pay it once and you're done for the year. And I think a lot of people that sign up for a bottom tier usually upgrade because they want to get, more connection with us, more content and more bonus content. That's really what people are looking for. And then you're also able to pick the listeners picks that we did last time too, and we're going to be doing again. So big thank you to everybody on our Patreon, who will also get this episode quicker and without ads. So there's quite a few benefits. But yeah. Otherwise, if you can do that, share our content on social media or leave us a comment. We also love that. That's a great way to support us. Or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That also helps. So yeah, that's it for this episode. We'll be back next week with, I think, Sagar, if I'm not mistaken, if our scheduling is okay. But thank you for listening.
Khandaan podcast from VIP Glottis. Papa, are you podcasting again?